Some episodes of Star Trek leave you questioning morality, others blow you away with action. But every once in a while, we get a whimsical, character-rich romp that reminds us why we fell in love with this universe in the first place. Wedding Bell Blues is exactly that kind of episode, full of heart, charm, mischief, and a sprinkling of absolute cosmic chaos. But don't be fooled. Beneath the humour and the hijinks, there's a deeper tension building. One that could shape the rest of the season and maybe, just maybe, deliver a sting in the tail when we least expect it. So, in this video, we'll explore what worked, what didn't, and offer up a theory that might just ruin your day or blow your mind. Let's get into it. Going to red alert. This video contains spoilers for Wedding Bell Blues. You have been warned. Right, with that out of the way, we can dive in. So I just want to start by saying just how delightful this episode is. Even with the looming threat of death, and yes, it is there, the tone never loses its whimsical, almost fairy tale quality. This is Strange New Worlds leaning into its tonal variety, and for my money, it works brilliantly. You might remember from my earlier breakdown of Season 3's episode titles, I'll put a link on the screen there, I theorised that this season could mimic Season 2's tonal roller coaster. Serious, then silly, and then back to serious again. And while it's too early to confirm that pattern from just 2 episodes, Wedding Bell Blues absolutely fits that mould. Let's talk Rhys Darby. What an absolute joy. And while the show never says it outright, I'm going to go out on a limb and say, yes, he's playing Trelane. That's Trelane, the chaotic godchild from the TOS episode The Squire of Gothos. The childlike cadence, the costume with the medals, the floating green mist, it's all there. But did Strange New Worlds just confirm that Trelane is a member of the Q continuum? Well, the parent, being voiced by none other than John de Lancie, certainly points in that direction. And what a lovely surprise that was. His voice is iconic and instantly brings that Q energy. But all may not be as it appears. More on that in the theory section later, so stick with me. Before we go too far into godhood though, let's take a moment for what didn't quite land for me, and it's Roger Korby. Cillian O'Sullivan is clearly a very capable actor, but I wasn't feeling genius from him. The script told me that he was brilliant, but the performance didn't show me. He came off more petty and insecure than intellectually formidable. Also, and I know it's a small thing, he now has an Irish accent suddenly. It didn't in TOS, so why now? Then there's the sudden relationship with Christine Chapel. I mean, really? Chapel would eat him alive. The thing that made her dynamic with Spock so compelling is that they were equals. They were capable of intellectually meeting on common grounding, giving each other a good run for their money. Corby didn't feel like a match in that way. The engagement felt shoehorned in purely because it has to happen for Canon. I'm going to reserve full judgment though. From the trailer, it looks like we might be seeing more of him soon. So I'll see where it goes. That said, Corby did give us a glorious Easter egg. At the wedding, he expresses fear about being sent to the cornfield. Now, if that line tickled something in your brain, you're not alone. It's a reference to the 1961 Twilight Zone episode It's a Good Life, famously parodied by The Simpsons, and featuring a child with terrifying powers who sends people he doesn't like to the cornfield. It was written by Jerome Bixby, who also wrote the original series episode What a Little Girl's Made Of, which just so happens to be when we get to meet Dr. Roger Korby. It's a deep cut for sure, but a really satisfying one. Right, it's time for the batshit theory. And this week I want to start with a follow-up to last week's theory. If you haven't seen my review of Hegemony Part 2 yet, I'll put a link just there. I predicted that Marie Batel's fate is sealed, despite the optimistic tone around her recovery. And now I'm doubling down on it. In this episode, we learn that the Gorn have been reabsorbed into her system. I mean, first of all, ugh. Second of all, they're clearly hammering home that she's not out of the woods yet, that she has recovery time still left to do. Now, that's what we call in storytelling a Chekhov's gun, or in this case, because it's Star Trek, a Chekhov's phaser. And no, not Pavel Chekhov, it's a theatre term. It means that if you show a loaded gun in Act 1, it needs to go off by Act 3. Ortegas, by contrast, is already up and about after some horrific injuries and practically losing half an arm. That contract feels intentional. I still think Batel's going to die before the season ends and that it'll make Pike's fate a bit more poignant. But on to today's theory and the real madness. Trelane, Q, what's going on here? As I said earlier, it feels like Trelane. The childish energy, the floating mist, the style of dress, all the signs are there, but they never name him. And that's quite interesting. So, in TOS, Trelane required machinery to do his god tricks. This character doesn't appear to, although, to be fair, they could easily retcon that and I could forgive them for doing so. But more intriguingly, in the Lower Decks crossover episode, Those Old Scientists, Mariner warns Boimler against invoking Q, and that this era has more of a Trelane thing going on. Now that suggests that Trelane and Q are not quite the same entity. It could be argued, though, that she uses Trelane to mean a young Q, I guess. And yet, that voice, John de Lancie, it's unmistakably Q. And the parent, of course, refers to our little Chaos agent as being over 8,000 years old, despite Q Jr. from Voyager being born in the 24th century. So, which is it? Honestly, I think this is the beauty of it. Strange New Worlds has crafted this episode in a way that lets you decide. If you want to believe Trelane and Q are connected, the evidence is there, right there for you. If you prefer that they remain separate, nothing in this episode will contradict that either. It's a fan's dream because your headcanon can live peacefully alongside someone else's. And isn't that what Star Trek is all about? Well, that and warning people not to be insufferable gatekeepers. So yes, feel free to debate it passionately, but never tell anyone that they're wrong. That goes for Trelane, Tuvix, Discovery, you name it. The only people who don't belong here are the ones who don't want anyone else to belong. The rest of us will live by IDIC, infinite diversity in infinite combinations. So anyway, what did you make of Wedding Bell Blues? Was it a return to classic Trek whimsy, or did it miss the mark for you? Let me know in the comments, and if you've got your own wild theories about Trelane Q, or whether Chapel would really marry Corby, I want to hear them. If you've enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button. It really helps the channel to grow. And make sure you're subscribed with notifications on, because next up I'll be diving into episode 3, Shuttle to Kenfori. I've got a feeling this is going to be our zombie Klingon episode. Yeah, you heard that right. Until then, I'm Stu Jackson and this is Hailing Frequencies. Stay curious, stay kind, and as always, live long and prosper.